Okay, cool. Guys, welcome back to another episode of Always Making Podcasts. We are joined in the studio with Kimmy from Aloreing Podcast. Thank you for joining us.
No, our first podcaster on our podcast.
Wow, full circle. Am I right?
So, we met Kimmy at a Crafts and Drafts show.
Mm-hmm.
What was very cool about what you were doing is art that was cryptid based that then helped fuel a podcast. We'll get into all of that there and have you kind of break it all down for us. But before we do, we guys do what you're supposed to do: like, comment, subscribe to the podcast. If there are local Salt Lake area artists that you guys think should be on the show, hey, send them our way. We like talking about art. We like talking about makers, creatives, all that good stuff. But yeah, that's the housekeeping. We are going to get into this conversation now about cryptid podcasting, cryptid art. How? Okay, let's just go this way. Let's just. What came first, the art or the podcast?
Ooh.
That was my first question.
Ooh, that's such a good question. They came together. So the chicken and the egg question can't be answered here today, folks. So I started this podcast actually during quarantine. So back in the days of the masks that beckoned the wasteland, I remember at the time I just started seeing my current partner, and I was locked up in my little apartment in Provo with my rabbit and working from home and didn't do anything. And before, me and my friends, we'd get together and I would draw creatures or folklore or fairy tale stuff. And they were like, oh, do you know the stories to it? And I'd tell them the stories. And I was like, I still want to do that. So I had someone test run a podcast where the whole thing is called Aloreing. Mm-hmm. So it's the art of folklore. So the concept with each episode, I would research a creature and tell people about it to help them get kind of inspired about what this creature is and how you can create it or do something with it to inspire you and not feel so sad in the darkness of what was quarantine kind of thing. And it just really evolved. I love doing it. My current co-host, we've been friends since college, and I was like, hey, do you want to get on a train where we're not getting paid and you get to make unhinged cryptid art with me? And he was like, sign me up. So
sounds good.
Yeah, so we're here now. So it was a very one couldn't exist without the other, which was really fun. And at the time, there were podcasts were kind of just starting to get hopping again, as the kids like to say. And there wasn't a lot of cryptid or folklore. There was a lot of paranormal podcasts. And right. I was like, I like scary. I don't want that in my house. How can I find a good in between? I was like, well, there's cryptids. So it was a good transition.
Awesome.
So co-host Ryan
Yes.
Can't join us because he doesn't live local.
No.
So you do your guys' podcast remotely from each other.
Yes.
How do you go about coming up with the concept for each episode? Again, does the art come first with that, or does the episode idea come first from that?
Ooh, so if you listen to our podcast, I am a very red flag advocate. So if they are hot enough, I will dismiss enough war crimes for a creature. So if the Loveland Frogman got some cake, that's gonna get at the top of my list. And thankfully, I have a co-host that has a very similar sense of humor, and he's very funny. So we just are like, hey, what's kind of happening now in pop culture, and is there something I want to draw, or is there something you find entertaining? We just did the episode The Bell Witch, because it was it's Halloween, we want to do a witchy kind of episode. We want to talk about the history and lore surrounding Kate Bell, and I was like, oh cool, and then I can draw a cute little bottle for it. So it was fun it's one or the other. Just depends on the moon, I guess. Is it full? Is it half? I don't know. We'll find out.
Well, you brought up something too. For all the audio listeners, we decorated the set a little differently. There's also some spookiness because we have,
Spooky
with
season.
Cryptid, you are the first kind of spooky season episode we're having on. So Cryptids, have something near and dear to our heart. Our nursery
For
is
Juniper, our
for
daughter.
Juniper has been done with cryptid themes, and we've got a lot of local artists who we've purchased some of their cryptid art to like put up in there, and Christy painted a tree mural on the wall. So cryptids is something. Christy's wearing one of her
I
shirts.
stole Derek's cryptid shirt so that I could wear it for this specifically.
But cryptids have always been this fun thing that's been around for us, and nothing in the sense of like, I guess in the sense of like, do we believe it? Do we not believe it? Like, we just like the stories and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think when we were having the conversation at the show, the art show we were at, you were talking about like the stories are what bring people together. And that's the fun part about all of it. And so listening to a few episodes of your podcast, where do you get your research from? Because some of the stuff you get into, I've never heard some of the cryptids you get into. So how deep do you dive into the research with that?
Oh man, it honestly depends how many drinks are in my system and how late it is. And I'm like, baby, time to go. You know, like it really, it's so hard. I do spend a good chunk of time. I like to spend like 6 hours researching, and maybe that's just the spiral, the creativity spiral, as I like to call it, where it's like, ooh, what's this and what's this and what's this, and I just like to see kind of where things go. I try to spend 6 hours. I honestly will start on Google and I just go till pages get sketchy. Once I open a website and I'm like, this looks like I shouldn't be here, that's when I like will back up. And with how our episodes are laid out, I really like to try to find what historical impact could have had with a creature, if that makes sense. Like when we did like the Santa Claus episode, I know it's not even close to Christmas, but Mariah Carey is defrosting, so she's always in the back of my mind. But we talk about the connection of Coca-Cola to Santa, because that's a really big part of why the folklore became so popular, and it's so present in like especially Western culture.
Marketing is insane when you get into the like nitty gritty of it. Yeah.
It's crazy. We do like little segments. We normally have like a sign in the church saying which says what is the real reason for a folklore story to be popular at the time. But we always have a capitalism segment snuck in there, because it's like, if you have a cute, mysterious cryptid, like you can save a town, you know, like if it's like Uncle Johnny ain't getting any money from his bake shop, you know, like just throw like a cute pie cryptid. Like you have sales and a festival now. It's really cool to see though.
What we're missing and not sharing right off the bat is we hit it, but you draw a cryptid art piece with every episode. So then what that allows you to do, and why we connected, was because of the art shows that you're at. Not just like, you're not doing the podcast live at an art show, you're promoting the podcast through the art, which is very cool. But every episode, how many episodes are you in now?
Ooh, like 67.
So 67 unique art pieces.
Wow, that's crazy.
Like when you, because you're doing your own stickers, you're doing your own prints. What else are you creating that's kind of around the podcast?
Ooh, pretty much I'll just get a message from Ryan at like 8 or like 9 at night, and he's like, have you thought of sexy Mothman? And I'm like, that is a wonderful idea. So I just like to make art that kind of makes people happy, and I feel that's a big part of it, but I still want to be doing something for me. So my co-host will just message me with really unhinged ideas. Like there's this one. This is the PG version. It says we ride at dusk. This shirt also says save a goth girl, ride a cryptid. So there's one for everyone. Support your local artist, you know.
I love it.
But it's just, I don't know. I just like to do it, and it makes me happy. So I'm just going to do it till I get tired of it, I guess.
You brought up a question I was going to have later in the show, but you brought it up already. Sexy Mothman.
Oh, yeah.
There's a whole photo shoot of Sexy Mothman. So was the conversation like Sexy Mothman and then, hey, we need to do a photo shoot? Or was it like Sexy Mothman and then down the line, like, oh, hey, what if we do a photo shoot?
It was the second one, because People that are just listening to audio have no idea. So they don't know how sexy this Mothman photo. And they're like, what is this range? And it will be a mystery for all of you listeners. I guess you gotta go look at it for yourself.
Go look it up.
But no, I was just like, man, I want a MILF shirt because I saw those frog shirts.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, how can I make that cryptid? And Ryan's like, easy. Mothman. And I was like, this is why you're my co-host. this is true genius. So it's fun. I just get to make unhinged art, and then if someone like, I love like the art show we did, I loved seeing the people like walk by and point and cackle to themselves. Like, I think it's fun.
It is absolutely fun. Shoot, I totally just forgot what I was going to ask you. Oh my gosh, I hate when it flies out of my brain.
Do you guys have like a favorite cryptid, or is there something that brought you guys into the cryptid world?
I mean, I've always been a fan of Bigfoot. Like
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
I mean, it's. I guess that's the very vanilla answer.
Yeah. No, but like Sasquatch is awesome. And then I've actually been to Loch Ness in Scotland.
Okay.
And I didn't get a sighting of Nessie, but it was a lot of fun to like be there and see all of the like the culture around it, and the tour guides kind of like being cheeky about it, and it's a lot of fun going to a place where there is a cryptid that may or may not live there, depending on how what you believe.
Mm-hmm.
But just seeing how much it becomes a part of the community, the local community, like you said, it can change a town for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Nessie also has a place in my heart for sure.
Well, because you didn't see Nessie, you just go in front of that gas station with the dinosaur and you get on it. You guys got the art skills. Photoshop one of those Nessie Loch Ness photos you got. You're right there. That's like top sighting quality photos. Put it on a Polaroid. No one will ever tell the difference.
We have the means to do this. We do.
Do you have a favorite cryptid that you've like? Yeah. And I imagine it's not one of the vanilla choices we've chosen.
Mine's is pretty vanilla. It's like Utah vanilla, I guess. Okay. Is a good analogy. I love the jackalope.
Oh, okay.
Which is not.
Oh, you
vanilla.
actually did get one of my jackalope prints, and that's where I got one of your two of your prints, and you got jackalope print for me. Yeah. So jackalope is one of your favorites.
Jackalope's my favorite. I have a little Holland dwarf rabbit that's this big, and she looks like a jackalope, and she is the most sassy thing ever, and I just love her.
I love it.
And I have like a little jackalope area. There's one artist, she is tagged on our Instagram, but she did like a little commission of my rabbit as like one of our camp counselors for our podcast campground.
Oh my gosh.
And it brings me immense sense of joy. So it's
so cute.
I love that. I love the little jackalope.
Have you made her little antlers?
Yes, and she hates them
of course.
so much. I like put them on there, and she's like her like little shoulders to her head, like, and I like to think she's reincarnated, like she was the Queen of England in the past life, and she knows she's been reincarnated as a rabbit. So she's just so mad at her living situation now, and she's like, this millennial childless 20-year-old woman is dressing me in antlers, and she can't do anything about it. But it makes her adorable.
Just quietly seethe in her.
You can feel like the radiation of her plotting my demise come off of her. And then I give her lettuce, and she's like, I guess you're good for now.
All right.
Okay, so I'm going to be 100% honest. I haven't listened to every episode.
You don't need to.
Is there a jackalope episode?
Yeah.
Okay.
That episode's called The Forbidden Horchata. Because you can milk a jackalope and...
Wait. You can milk a jackalope.
Yes.
What story did you hear that you can milk a jackalope? I mean, can you milk rabbits?
Well, I guess if you try hard enough of anything, you can milk it. If you want to get really technical. No, like, apparently jackalopes, their milk has medicinal properties. So, like, they would use it to heal themselves, but you could also be murdered by a jackalope. So it's like a 50-50 shot.
Yeah. Okay.
Healing properties or just straight up killed. I don't know.
Flip a coin. Maybe it is your lucky's day, and that's the day you get the rabbit foot. You know, like, you never know what's going to happen.
I have not gone down that deep in the jackalope rabbit hole to know that. I didn't know they were a vicious, like, or have a vicious side to them in some of the lore.
Have you, have you seen Monty Python? I know this is going to date us a little because we're old folks.
Yeah.
They are pretty much like that rabbit.
Okay, yeah.
And so if what it was like in the Old West, like fun little lore fact for you guys. What would happen is when cowboys would be around the campfire and they would hear like the eerie whistling, it would actually be the jackalopes surrounding the campsite. So to protect yourself from them, like getting their horns and attacking you, you put out a little bit of whiskey because jackalopes love whiskey. So they'll drink a little and then they'll leave you alone. So that's why cowboys always had a bunch of whiskey on
I'm
them.
learning so much more than I knew.
So educational. I love it. This is why you got to listen to the Aloreing podcast.
Oh yeah.
What has been your favorite like research like cryptid besides the jackalope? I know there's something near and dear to your heart with the jackalopes, but like the craziest story, like what have you read and gone, man, that is stuck out to you?
Ooh, I definitely like more of the dreamy stuff. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a Pisces and I'm like, ooh, romance and love and water. So I'm super into Slavic folklore. And that's like the other part of our podcast. We have the folklore, then we have the cryptid. And I really like Rusalka. They're water maidens that will drown people that get too close. And I'm like, beautiful.
Oh, very similar to like the Mexican Llorona.
Yeah, La Llorona.
Yeah. And so similar in that kind of like folklore stories.
Yeah, so they are more representation of like harvest and fertility, where La Llorona is more like, I'm looking for my children to get back into heaven, and you're not going about the right way, you know. Yeah. We also have this thing on our podcast called an Aloreing alignment chart. I don't know. Do you guys like D&D?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. We like D&D. Come on. We're nerds. Come on.
I knew in my heart. I have to double check. So we have an Aloreing alignment chart where we say how good or chaotic or evil or neutral a character is. And my co-host, he hates it because if I think a character's hot enough, red flag advocate, it gets a little bit more to that good neutral, if you know what I'm saying. And he still will fight me till the day I die that La Llorona is chaotic evil. I'm like, nah, she's just misunderstood. And he's like, thank you. See?
No, I agree.
Thank you.
I mean, fair assessment. Yeah.
Say, hear that, Ryan? I'm looking at you from across the web. Never forget this, ever. But it's fun because like there's so many lore and legends that are interchangeable and that like transfer from one location to another too. So like there's so many similarities between La Llorona and even Rusalka.
Yeah.
And it's just like someone by the river that drowns a person. Like everyone has their own version that keeps people safe or keeps people away or makes people be more cautious of this mysterious world, which is just pretty cool.
Okay, I remembered real quick
go
before
ahead.
we move off from favorites.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite cryptid to draw?
Or that you've drawn.
Or that you've drawn.
Ooh. Oh, that's tough because like it's so vanilla. We're going back vanilla.
That's all right.
I do love. I
Word
draw
of
like
the day.
a vanilla. It's the safe word for today. It's the main hashtags for all the marketing. People are like, why is this coming up on my feed? I draw a little camp counselor Mothman. It's this cutie, and he's inspired by my rabbit. That's why he always looks so grumpy to be here. But I love drawing him. I also love drawing the Fresno Nightcrawlers because they're just walking pants. It's so simple.
Do you think they're real? Those videos look so like I don't know. They
You don't believe that?
Look, no judgment on the cryptids, okay? Everyone is allowed.
I'm not that I'm judging. I just like I don't know what to think about those videos. Like,
there's one walking outside right now, shaking its little head like,
You don't even know, bro.
You don't even know, bro. Walking its little kid out. It's like, this is our midnight stroll. He can't sleep. You're the jerk in this scenario.
You don't believe keeping his kid awake.
So, few of the episodes I've listened to, Ryan sounds like a skeptic.
Yes.
Okay. So are you also a skeptic about, or are you a little bit more of a strong believer?
I am a little bit more on the skeptical side.
Okay.
What I believe more in the realm of folklore and cryptids definitely is what could probably be more spiritual. Makes more sense to me. Because for me, like, we did a Bigfoot episode and we talk about how we think Bigfoot is actually a forest spirit. And you could fight me on that. All of you can fight me on that. blow up their comments, blow up their podcast, fighting on it, you know. But because Bigfoot to me like makes more sense if there's like spiritual connections to it. But that's just like how I am. So whenever I just see like the Ozark Howler, for example, like a black cat in the dark, I'm like, so it's just a big kitty.
Big cat, yeah.
And me and my co-host, like, we do give the benefit of the doubt. I do everything I can in my research to like be very thorough about it, but a lot of times like if something's a little scary, I'm like, no, that's 100% real. And he's like, it's not. So it makes for a fun dynamic, but it's like, we don't know, maybe we're wrong, maybe we're right, but if we can provide all the information in a non-serious way to like open up a conversation instead of being like, this is real, you can't say anything about it, I feel like it makes the discussion more open, and it makes everyone more willing to kind of say like what they feel or what they think it could be, you know.
Definitely this goes back to the storytelling around the campfires, how that's passed down generation to generation with what it is, because there are like stories from cryptid and folklore and stuff that have lasted generations, and like there might be a little change, a little twist, a little bit of difference to where what we've heard 100 years ago to what it is now, but like that is the continuation of what these cryptids are to us. And I think you shared something very similar to when you were talking when you were at the show, kind of thing, that same kind of sense of like these are generational stories that we need to continue down the line. The Patterson film, am I saying that right? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
I was like, wait, did I say, like, you looked at me like, no,
like,
you got it wrong. No, I was like, oh no, shit.
No, you're doing great.
He came out on his deathbed saying it was a fake, but like all the science, no one could really like disprove that it wasn't.
Right.
Not that like it was like cinema movie like quality costume. I'm like, did he just say that to like take the heat off his family kind of thing?
Yeah, like, well that's the thing is like, especially we don't do as much paranormal on our show because your girl is scared of ghosts and your co-host is also scared of ghosts. Like,
so I'm gonna we did ghost hunting one night. I had cameras, like infrared cameras. I did ghost hunting in a factory that was running, and like it was modern, and like I'm like, you know what? I don't want to do this. This is dumb. Like,
look, I'm the one who like can't watch horror movies, can't watch scary stuff. Like, even when we used to watch like Walking Dead, I'd be like, okay, but we have to have enough time before bed to like watch one episode of Walking Dead, then follow immediately by like multiple comedy episodes of something so that I can like sleep.
Yeah.
But we did do we tried our little episode that we were going to start the series of ghost hunting, and yeah, Derek was the one who was like, nah,
I'm good. I like. What about like I watched the Ghost Hunters like series on like Sci-Fi. I'm like, that's so cool. And then I'm like, why am I doing this? I don't need to do this. There's no reason. Like,
do we need to discover this? Do we need to find evidence?
There was lights on in half of the factory, and I was terrified.
You don't put yourself through it.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm such a walking contradiction because I love scary things. I love it. I love it so much. And then the moment I get put in a room and they're like, the ghost says, hi, Kimberly. I'm like,
nah, we're good.
No,
done.
No,
no, goodbye.
No. But like, what makes it like so interesting is like, what's the story? Like, I want to know the lore to the ghost. I don't want you to talk to me. We don't got a Ouija in. Yeah. You know what I mean? No. But I want you to like do like a, what is it? Like, write a story. Let me find the note of how you came to be, and then I will head out. I'll tell people about you. You'll be famous to like my 30 listeners. It'll be great. You know? But no, you guys are so brave. I like always want to do a ghost hunt, and then I like get near the premise and like I'll have a crystal break, and I'm like, that's my God saying nope.
That's my cue to leave.
Yeah. It's like I bought a camera that we were using for other productions, and it just happened to have night vision, and I'm like, oh, let's do this. We can totally do this. It was a college project that I started doing all the graphic design for. We did some like title motion graphics and stuff, and I'm like, we need to actually go do one of these. Like, it was just turning in
was it GDA, right?
Yeah, Ghost Detective Agency. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure we still have footage somewhere.
Oh, I do. Yeah, there's definitely.
We We did a whole intro with Derek's like Ford Taurus that he was driving at the time. We like pull up to like the camera and like get out the doors on the side. It's like this real low,
The
like, on the
lights,
ground,
it was a
backlit,
like,
easy
fog.
light. Yeah.
bring it back.
Bring it back.
Might need to just show the little opening sequence that we did.
I can see it perfectly in my head.
And this was like 2006, 2007. So grunge text
I
was
say
like,
pretty heavily inspired by
Tell me you had a jean jacket at one point.
I did not have a jean jacket, but I did have. There was a jacket. There was a jacket that looked very similar to what they were wearing on Ghost Hunters.
Beautiful.
And I bought things I probably didn't need to spend money on, thinking, yeah, this is gonna happen. We're gonna be the next like Taps and everything.
Zach Bagan's got nothing on us.
I was like, no, terrified.
bunch
What
of
am I
college
doing?
students. Yeah.
We'll record ourselves with ghosts. What could happen?
Yeah. And he went one night and was like, nah. And then like, so I do remember going back, like this goes back to the campfire scene. We used to go motorcycle riding in Barstow Deserts all the time. And my dad told us about the time they convinced their friends about a 10-foot Indian that walked the plains of Barstow.
There
And
it is.
when-
That's the folklore.
And so like, there's that like, and it was a friend on another person's shoulder that they climbed up with a flashlight and to scare everyone in the camp. And this was when he was like a younger teenager, 20s, whatever kind of thing,
Right.
before my time. And so, but like, I remember that because I was young and influenced by, I was like, oh no. Like, and then cause like, even I knew it wasn't real, but then I'm like, wait, like we're out here at night and like, is this something we should be worried about? Like, but like, that's the thing. Like this story continues down the line and you go back to these places and then you wonder like, where did the 10-foot Indian even come from? Like where, like who put that in their head in the first place kind of thing. And then you wonder like, do these hills have eyes? Like, is there more like going on here? Like that I'm not aware of? So cryptids, I mean, can be a little spooky too out in the woods compared, not like ghosts, but I mean, I think I was watching your Hide Behind. Is that the...
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that one's terrible. I hate them.
And so like you had a video of a guy testing flashlights. Like, so I see, I told you, I listened and watched a couple of the shows and everything.
He's like, this Ryan
but-
guy doesn't believe in shit.
He was very skeptic about it kind of thing for sure.
So
But like,
I'll say, like, as a quick anecdote, his background. So when we met in college, I was computer information technology and he was film. So
Okay.
he knows how film
Yeah,
works,
yeah.
which is why
Yes.
he's like, Kimberly.
yeah. Well, like we're in
Look
the
how easy this is to like fake this.
Yeah. We're in the same boat. We both have film degrees, and so it's one of those like we understand how props are made and how you could fake and like that. But and like it was very genuine of you're like, but did you read the description? Like, because it's like the description says he didn't post this video with this intention. He didn't know for months.
So you know how that sounds. Hearing it from someone that isn't Ryan, I understand how it sounds.
But even then, like, again, the internet has allowed so many videos to be put out there that could easily be fake and could easily be like just someone trying to get a viral thing going. But then there's some things where you go, I don't know. That seems a little like I want to believe a little bit.
I think the more alien paranormal it gets, the higher my belief is.
Okay.
Versus the more animal it is. Because,
Okay.
like, there's, like, the Beast of Buscow, which they say was this giant, like, alligator snapping turtle. You guys are going to get, like, so much roast beef on your comment thread because of me, and I apologize. I will deal
Bring
with all
it.
of it. Which means Ryan will deal with all of it, so it's fine. But he's, like, this described as this giant, like, snapping turtle kind of creature, and it's kind of like the plot to Free Willy but make it country and like a smaller village. That's the whole plot to what happened with this village. And you know, the more you read it, the more it just gets smaller and smaller, and at one point the turtle's just like this big, and I'm like, so it's just an alligator snapping turtle, right? So but what's the fun in that?
Yeah.
You can't get a marathon out of a 6-inch snapping turtle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's the Mongolian death worm?
Mongolian.
He was very like 10 feet. No, this is like 2 feet. Like, yeah, that one's like, oh, maybe it's just a mix up of reptile kind of thing.
And then there's so many factors. It's like there's these people that are in this desert heat. You know, there's so much that can go. We aren't built. Humans are not built for survival.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in here sweating like a whore in church, you know? Like, we are not meant to survive. We're here for a good time and to experience stuff and hope everything turns out right. And
our fragile bodies.
Yeah, we're just like skeletons driving meat shields, you know? And it's just like, people are in this really harsh environment. Everything's so stressful, high levels of stress, and then you can die from like dehydration. So maybe they do all see like a giant worm, or maybe there actually is one. I don't know. Like,
Who's
the
to say?
desert's huge. I'm not going to go exploring for one, that's for sure. But
Yeah, I like the idea of exploring discovery, and I think that's where cryptids come into play with like my inspiration with stuff.
Yeah.
But I want to know like the potion bottle and like bottling of all the stuff with your designs. Where did that come from? If I missed that in an episode, or if that was never explained, but every episode's or art piece seems to be contained in some kind of like little container, I guess.
Yeah, I just like the idea of a little to-go bag, you know, like how can I have this creature at home? I make potions as a true millennial bi witch, you know. I gotta really stick to that stereotype. So I just like the idea of like having a little potion bottle of a creature. And like when I was listening to your guys' show, how you guys like to create not just one thing but multiple things. Like, you're sewing, you're making shirts, you're doing like all this camera work. Like, you guys have all these different projects you work on, and I like the idea of the bottle because I'm like, oh, one day if I want to make an actual bottle, I can make an actual bottle. It hasn't hit me yet, but maybe it will, you know. Or I like the idea of, oh, I can physically make this as like a 3D object in Blender. Or it's not like the end of something, but it's a way to make it so it's all a series. So like when I look back, I'm like, oh, look at all the potion bottles I've created over the years, kind of thing.
That would be very cool to see an actual physical wall of all your potions with like 3D,
awesome.
like actual bottles with little creatures in them, and all of that would be very cool.
Oh man.
Pie in the sky
cool.
later down the line project for sure.
No, I'm just gonna go home right now. And then my fiance is like, it is 1 a.m. I'm like, shh, the voices, while I put up every little 5x5 print I have on my wall.
It needs to happen.
It will. You guys will be the first. You're like, why is she messaging us so late?
At 3 a.m.
You're like, God, she did it.
Be like waking up with Juniper and be like, what? Who messaged me right now? Who's texting me right now?
What is your medium of choice right now for your art?
Ooh, I'm a big watercolor girly.
Okay.
I like to like sketch in watercolor, and then I go to the holy grail of tablets because I still can't believe the hold my tablet has on me. Because I don't know about you guys. Did you guys used to have the computer like Wacom or something?
I hated the Wacom so much.
It just rots there.
Yeah.
Like,
I think I've gone through 3 different models.
Yeah.
And I thought the Cintiq model with the actual screen on would be, and like I played with one in college and I'm like, it just doesn't feel natural.
Right.
For whatever reason, the iPad with Procreate, it is a game changer. I've said it on here before. I think it's cheating. It has allowed me to do so much so quickly because of like that tool. Like I Photoshop for 20 years, Illustrator for 20 years, kind of thing. But like Procreate was like, oh my god, this is great.
Yeah, no, it's ruined me as an artist because I'll be like watercoloring and I find myself doing the zoom in finger thing. And I'm like, what the hell is and I get mad at myself.
You the like 2-finger tap to undo.
Yeah. And you're like, why is this not working? And the worst, because I'm farsighted, so I'll be working on a picture and I always do the zoom in.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, like I get so mad. I was like, why doesn't it just work for me?
Yes, that is why I need like all these other things to like get my hands tactile. Like, so Christy does our watercoloring for us on some of our pieces and everything. So like I like making the paper, I like screen printing, but I'm like, the watercolor, I don't know, I don't get it. Like like
That's fine.
that's not a medium that works in my head like with all the other stuff. But Christy's like here, just paint my art like for me.
Yeah, basically.
That's the beauty of it. You got that system that works.
I would say we find ways to like make the partnership work, you know, I think really well for us.
Watercolor. So you're not doing watercolor for all your pieces, right? Like that's not.
So I should have brought it. I have this, I call it my little cryptid guide, and it's like a little blue book that she is holding on to dear life. And I'll just like draw, I do thumbnail sketches as a true graphic designer, right? And I will go with my watercolor brush and I'll just be like, oh, let's put those colors there. And that's how I start all my stuff.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So like I thumbnail sketch everything. That's how I'm able to produce things so quickly. It's because I go back. All the artists are out there. If you are not thumbnail sketching, I will come for you in the night like Mothman comes for a lamp. I feel like it just saves me so much time. Like, I'm like, oh, let me draw 3 ideas. I'm like, those were trash, but this is the money piece. And then it just goes so quickly for me. So I love it. And then you're not on the screen all day, you know?
Understandable. Yeah. So it kind of gives you that like break from everything. Where did the idea to start doing markets come from? Why was there? So I'll hit on it real briefly and everything. The Lost World of She. Yes. That's your illustration background. You've been doing that before the podcast.
Correct.
Were you doing markets with that art before, or did the podcast start the market?
I did like 2 or 3 because I just had friends that are like, oh, just sell your art here for a summer. I'm like, oh, sweet. I've always done like freelance and art design, so it was just like if the wind gave me a market, like, and it was this last year was the first time I ever did an art market with my Lost World of She stuff, and I just had a lot of friends that liked my art, and they were like, hey, can you come to my shop for a weekend? I'm like, yeah, sure, that sounds fun. I'll see if I can make some money and have a good weekend, you know. But definitely like the Lost World of She is way more of like the branding and logo and marketing stuff, or I call them my sad girls, but like they look so pretty and so like peaceful, and it's just Pisces energy, and I'm here for it. But the podcast, we were trying like different marketing stuff this summer. We've been doing it for 3 years, and then Ryan's like, just go around town and sell your art in Salt Lake. I was like, that's a great idea. So I was like, sure, let's try it. And one of my dearest friends, her shop is Earth Metal Alchemy. I'll bug her to see if she can come on here because she's a Salt Lake artist. Okay. But she's very sweet, and she would do jewelry markets throughout all of Salt Lake. And she's like, do you want to come hang out and sell your art? Because it's like fairy and kind of matches my stuff. I'm like, yeah, sure. So
kind of like split the booth a little bit, kind of put some of your stuff up, see where it went, and then now kind of doing your own booth with the Aloreing podcasts and like all the art that you do for that. Is there other stuff as well in the booth for you, or is it all around the podcast?
It's all the podcast, baby. Like I am like, hey, I'm just trying for the year to see what happens. Like, let me do markets. Let me see if I can get the word out. What is it called? Like grassroots marketing? Mm-hmm. It's been a long time since I've used that word. Wow, I felt like I dated myself saying it. But I
think the kids use guerrilla marketing now, right?
Guerrilla marketing. Tomatoes.
There's not even like a new term at all.
As long as I just don't throw up the peace sign anymore, then I won't date myself too much. But
just kidding.
Yes, commit, get into it.
Oh goodness,
your turn now.
Yeah, good. Yeah,
he's like, I have to keep it balanced. But no, so I've just been doing it to try to get the word out about the show. Apparently, cryptids are hip. They're cool now. And
as they should be.
Have they never not been
cool?
I
know.
I feel like they've just gotten so popular for some reason.
It does feel like maybe we see a little bit more of it at art shows now. Like a lot of people have their own little take on it. But yes. I mean, I always felt like cryptids were like, maybe it was just my.
I was gonna say, I don't know that we're the right people to judge.
It was. What year did you guys graduate high school?
2005.
2004, 2005. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you were I'm 13. I'm a wee baby. But but you guys were in that time frame where like anime wasn't cool in school, but everyone watched it and now it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like cryptids are. Like everyone's been like, "Are you into cryptids?" Well, I'm a little bit into cryptids. How into cryptids are you? And like everyone's just gauging. And now like we've got to this point where it's like, oh, so everyone likes a sexy Mothman. And
It's
so
acceptable now, right?
yeah. So it feels like the anime transition from the 2000s to 2020. You know.
It's very true. That's a very good analogy because I do
I
remember
understand the analogy. Yeah.
yeah,
I get
watching
it.
like Dragon Ball Z and nobody was talking about it.
Yeah, I would have been bullied with a Naruto headband in high
I would have
school.
bullied you. Yeah. No, that's not true.
You say that, but your conviction with it was so strong.
Derek was not a bully, but he definitely would have been silently judging you.
He was like, "Oh, she's Naruto, right?"
She's one of those kids.
I was in high school. I was like, "Yeah, what's Naruto?"
Yeah. I
You mean Naruto?
Naruto?
Yeah. I mean, I probably get hate for this and everything, but I'm not a big fan of anime. Like I don't know. I've never got into it really. Christy likes a couple different pieces and
Yeah.
things.
I'm
but-
not like super into it, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I like American animations and everything. I know that's like a thing that anime people like are gonna like hate me for, but
I like how you're talking about it like I'm really into anime. You're so careful with it.
I'm like, I don't know how much I want to tread this water. Like, am I gonna be okay? Am I gonna get
She's gonna
stabbed?
walk off our
Let's see.
podcast right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
And
Naruto
thanks,
run
guys,
off the
for joining
podcast.
us on this episode. Like, Kimmy just walked out on us.
So yeah, let's fill the last 20 minutes ourselves.
Imagine having a folklore and cryptid podcast and the line is someone saying something negative about anime. That would be a whole therapy session.
Oh goodness.
So, yeah, we're bringing it back.
Sorry.
Cryptids are everything.
You have what's it? Oh my gosh.
You'll get there.
So like mom brain. Okay, so back to your like personal art then. How long have you been making art?
Oh man, my mom said I came out of the womb with a crayon in my hand. Like, I don't know. I was very blessed where my both my parents were like, "Hey, you like to make things. Go make things." And I just have been drawing my whole life. It's just what brings me joy. It's just what I find comfort in. And I just really like the art. I'm going to say this wrong. Like Art Nova period or like and
Nouveau?
I like new yeah, there we go.
We got it.
I read, I don't say it out loud, you know.
Yeah, I've done that.
And then like I love a lot of like William Waterhouse stuff. So I like really dreamy, nautical mermaid, sad girl, classic Little Mermaid fairy tale vibes.
Mhm.
For sure. And I've been very blessed where my parents have always been supportive and I've had friends, even frenemies that were like, "You're good at this." I'm like, "Oh, thanks." You know? And I have like a partner that's supportive. So like I just get to make art and get to do that and it makes me happy. And I feel if art makes you happy, then you should just do it. Even no matter how good it is. Just make art.
So, I like to ask if you have a piece of advice for people. I don't know if that qualifies for your advice there, like you just said. But is there something out there for people who are like looking into the art world, the cryptid world, the podcast world, like that can help them maybe get started in that world with you?
Ooh.
Don't start with an unevolved Libra, and there will be one person that gets that joke.
I'm lost on that.
No, that one went
Over my head.
too.
Yeah.
One astrology person listening is like, I know what she's talking about. I can give like an art advice and a podcast advice if that
Sure,
helps.
yeah.
Sure. If you want to do a podcast, listen to me very carefully. Record 6 episodes first with said person or persons you are wanting to record with before you talk about it, before you market it, and before you pay people like me to make a logo. That's going to save you so much of your life, so much heartache, and so much breakup heartache, and so much. Pre-record 6 episodes, see where you feel free to change from that point, and then if the winds are still calling to you and you both are loving it, or whoever you're recording is loving it, that is going to be your child. If not, you just want to record yourself drunk with your friends, and that's okay too. That's like my podcast advice. My art advice is draw a thumbnail. If you take anything away, it is so valuable to just get whatever idea you have out on paper. And if you take the time to do 3-4 rough sketches of whatever concept you have on your brain, and then you execute one of those, you're going to be way more satisfied with the end piece. You're not going to be feeling so stumped all the time. And it's cool because you get to see your progression in real time. So it's like, oh, look, I went from this to this. And then you get more excited about your art pieces because what you're thinking is actually coming to life instead of this grand idea in your head and you're starting it and you're like, this isn't coming out the way I want to. It helps kind of ground you, but helps you grow as an artist. So do your thumbnail sketches.
I love that. Excellent advice.
Yeah. Cryptids. Back to the cryptid side of things.
Cryptids.
Was that a raise in the hand? You had a question?
No, sorry.
I was like, wait.
I have bangs, so I like.
It's like cryptids.
Derek doesn't understand.
No.
He doesn't have bangs. He
No,
doesn't get
I don't. Nope. I don't.
He's there with the rim of his cap like this.
I wanted to hit on, is there a cryptid you haven't done yet that you're looking forward to, like the research and doing an episode on?
There is a few. We are I'm not going to say that one on this one. Good. I really want to do a Mothman for a special. Probably 100 we'll probably do like a fun Mothman. I don't know. I feel like I know all the folklore and then someone brings a new legend to me and I'm like, ooh, like if I find another pirate I'll get, I don't know. It's just whatever comes to me that day, which is pretty fun. I think that's like the fun of it, is the mystery of what will come. I do want to do a special with Ryan because our goal is to one day to try touring and stuff, is we want to do a snipe hunting pass for for our stuff, and I want to do an episode of snipes as one of our first opening shows.
It's pretty clever actually,
because it would be really great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Is there an episode or a cryptid that you've researched that you kind of a little bit more of a believer of?
Ooh.
Like there's some evidence or there's some stories that go, you know what? Like I was skeptic, but I'm kind of thinking this might be a real thing.
There's a few. I'll go to brownies because you have one of the art prints of brownies. I think brownies are real because I lose my shit way too much, and I am a very organized person.
Okay, so for the listeners out there that don't know what a brownie is, give a quick little.
It is believed in your house that there are little home spirits, and it's very popular from like Slavic folklore and European folklore. And again, I'm not an expert. This is what I found the first 6 pages of Google, but they're little house spirits about the size of your hand, and they are believed to be what makes all the little noises in your house when you go to sleep. And they will go and they do some housework, so they do a little cleaning, doing a little dusting, and if you don't show them appreciation, like leaving out a little slice of cake at night or a little bit of milk for them or even some new clothes, they take your stuff and hide it for like 24 hours. And then when they decide you deserve it, they give it back. And I am convinced they exist because the amount of times I have lost things, and I'm convinced it follows me to work sometimes just to get on my nerves.
So you haven't left out cake, new clothing, or any of the things?
Listen, I am a millennial and in this housing market, I don't get cake, Like, I do a cryptid podcast for fun. That should tell you everything about my cake financial situation.
We have to make financial space for cake. Like I can't live without cake.
Yeah, no, you guys, one day the brownie gods will be kind to me. And they're like, you can just do pudding, and I'm like, thank you. I will get to cake level.
Does Hostess count?
Why are there so many Twinkies in Kimberly's house? She doesn't even like chocolate. It's like, well, someone's got to eat it. And it's my fiance at night. He's like, yeah, those brownies are crazy, man.
Look, babe, they ate the cake you left out for them.
So that would be the cryptid then that is kind of has a little bit of belief for you.
And then I think another one, I do really believe that there is a Bigfoot, but I believe it's a forest spirit, and I believe it's a cousin to the Leshy from Slavic folklore.
Okay. Yeah, you were talking about the Leshies from the hide behinds.
Yes.
Kind of thing. And so you think the hide behinds are maleficent or not maleficent? No,
Malevolent?
Malevolent.
Yeah.
Maleficent is Disney.
Phenomena.
Disney, yeah.
Maleficent is the evil Disney queen.
Yeah. Because from what I can remember from that episode is they were Slavic origin, and they're not necessarily bad.
No.
But the ones here in North America, because of the logging people screwing up the forest and everything, they've now turned bad, and that's kind of like the spite is like, and why they take people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, they're pissed at those lumberjack men. They're like, you come in my forest, you cut down my trees, because they're not. A lot of forest spirits aren't. I'm just seeing evil. I'm not even going to try that word again. They're very neutral because the forest is like their child. They're keeping it safe, so they want you to respect it. If you're not going to respect it, they're like, "Oh, you're going to find out real quick."
You got to fight for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, yeah.
Which is ironic because that's such an American trait, and for us to be like, "Ew," and it's like, I mean, there's a reflection that needs to happen here, kind of thing. But it's the hide behinds are just a result of all these trees getting cut down, and there's like history to it. Like, some say the hide behinds were the excuse they would use for all these like really gruesome attacks, or these gruesome ways these lodgers sadly perished, because there's no OSHA. There's liquor, a good time, and away from the fam, like,
and very sharp blades.
Lots of sharp objects.
There is not a single brain cell floating in those forests, So it's like, well, what's a lot of times with folklore, it's like, well, either we can accept this really grim reality we have, or we can blame it on this story, and we can embellish the story, and we can move on with our lives.
Makes it a little easier pill to swallow.
100%. Goes down just like whiskey.
That you better leave out for the jackalopes.
That's right. We're learning. We're learning today. I love it.
What is your favorite part about prepping for a show? Is it the illustration? Is it the research? Is it the actual scripting of it? Like, what is your favorite part?
Well, when I graduated college, I looked at my friend Ryan and said, "Tell me to write an essay." He's like, "Write an essay." I'm like, "Nope, never have to do that again." And if only I knew in 2 years I'd do that by choice. So that's not my favorite part. But I really do love like finding some of these weird videos, or like weird like fairy tales, and translating them and figuring all that out. Especially when I find a video, there's times I pull up a video, I'm like, "Oh, Ryan's gonna love this. He's gonna be all about this." Or like I pull up a story, I'm like, and I think it's this idea of sharing it is what I really enjoy about it. I love being able to share like what the story is, and a lot of times like it's not my story to tell, but the ones where I can, I'm like, "Oh yeah, let's go."
So you mentioned you usually spend about 6 hours researching. How long does it take you to do each drawing?
Oh man, only like 2 hours.
Really?
I've been doing graphic design professionally for like 10 plus years, and that was my minor in college. And I've worked at like sign shops. I've worked at university. Like I worked at Utah Tech on their marketing team. I like work for Salt Lake Magazine now. Like I'm always in fast-paced art production companies, so I've just like learned to like get my ideas out quick. And I think that's like another thing with going back to the thumbnails. Like if you just make it and say you're done, move on with your life. Like don't beat yourself up over that last 20% because you'll never get that last 20% done.
Yeah.
And if you move on with it, then maybe like in a few years you'll be like, I should go redo that. And I've done that. Like I think I have like 2 versions of my Bloody Mary and 2 versions of my Will of the Wisps, because those were like some of the first ones I drew. And it was fun to like go back and redraw it with some of the changes I do now. and not get hung up on the things I didn't like about it. It was like, oh, let's grow from
Here's
this.
some new techniques. Here's some new like skill sets and everything. Yeah. I find myself doing that with a lot of the things I do because I'll draw stuff, and then when I need to put it on a t-shirt, or I need to like, I wasn't thinking about it at the time when I was like, oh, this is going to end up on a t-shirt 2 years later or something like that. So it's a little reworking. I'm like, oh yeah, I've got a new technique. I can try this, make it a little better, sharpen it a little bit the way I want it, and find that kind of thing. We've had a few artists on here actually who like they felt a relief when they got that in their head that they don't need to finish that like perfect. There is no perfect in the art world in that sense, kind of thing. And so they've been able to like 2 years later, 3 years later, they come back to some of their earlier stuff and go, man, like I can do this better and like can rework it, but it still has that original like heart to it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really like great to hear from other artists.
Yeah, I would say I think I've been kind of finding myself doing that more and more lately because I have so much less time now that I have like Juniper to take care of. And like sometimes I literally only have like 20 minutes to work on something before I've got to go like, get her up from nap or whatever. So it's like, okay, done is good enough. Like I don't need to keep working on this because I don't have the time. So I think that's something I've been kind of practicing as well with like sewing and commissions and things.
Yeah. Perfection is can be a curse.
No. And the thing too is like, even when, if you think about too, like even when you have the perfect piece, like you're still like, oh man, I should do this. And something I've learned working in like design and magazine, you can never have a magazine layout done. I could be moving it for the next year of my life by 1 pixel every day, and it's still never going to be there. So, and when you start to think of like for all my more left brain creatives, I guess, when you start to think of it takes you just as much time to do the first 80% as the last 20%, and you just learn to let the 80% be enough, you will feel so much better about everything, and you'll be producing art like this, and you'll be so proud of yourself too, because you look back, it's cooler to look back and be like, look at everything I've done, instead of look at this one piece that was perfect to me a year ago that I hate now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely like we manufacture so much stuff, like what we do, and I have to remember that nobody knows what the final result is, like that buys it from us, because they have no clue that what you think is an imperfection is they're walking into our art like booth and our vendor like setup and going, that is so cool, and they just want to buy that piece or support that piece. They don't know that the green hue that you use is not the green hue that you wanted to perfect on that, or the shading on the bottom little corner of this leaf of the flower I was drawing was not exactly right, and I just didn't get the time. Like they'll never know.
No.
That's not their, like, they can't read your mind and know that's the case.
If they can sell blurry photos of Bigfoot, your art will always be fine. And that's like a thing, because I have a lot of artist friends that are very comparison, and I'm a very like, don't be comparison.
No, yeah, we try to say that all the time. Don't compare yourself to others.
And then I always say, worst case, if you can't get out of that mindset, you need to know there's someone that's making the worst art you've ever seen, charging twice what you think your value is, and putting it online. So,
and actually selling it and making money.
Yeah. So just take a step back and be like, oh, I'm doing fine.
Yeah.
100%.
So this hour has gone by
Oh
very quickly.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're very like that's the kind of conversations we love having and everything. But I want to make sure for everybody who's listening, if they want to listen to one of your episodes, look at some of your art, where can they find everything you are doing and everything you and Ryan are doing?
Oh yeah. So Aloreing podcast, that's ALOREING, a pun for all my little brainiacs. A desperate attempt at a pun. Anyway, you'll find us on Spotify. We're on iTunes. Our website's aloreing.com. We have a network where we have a horror movie podcast called Creepy Campers. We have a few others in the making, so if you check out, you'll see what's brewing around the campgrounds. All of our art I like to post on our Instagram, is the best way to see it, or just going to our website. I know there's people that don't like social media, and they're like the government and tinfoil caps, and I get it. Boo, do you? If you're not harming anyone, do you? You know, you can go to our website. We post all our pictures there, all the illustrations we do, all updates, and all the fun stuff that's going on. But yeah, just Aloreing. We're the only people called Aloreing. If someone else is called Aloreing, I am probably fighting them. So that's. But that's it. And then I do have my personal art. So sometimes you guys may see like there's things that say at the lost world of she. That is also me. I am she. But it's just that's it. I don't have a good long spiel because we've talked so much about what my show is, and I'm like, I just feel like I'm repeating myself. Oh, and then you'll see Ryan too. He is a lot more of our face for social media. You will see sexy Mothman pictures on our social media, and me and him dressed as park rangers with this new season coming out. So
maybe in the future we can have you and Ryan, if he ever does make his way up here and everything, maybe back on and get his side of the story for this whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh, he's gonna fight me. I you know how you guys do the TikTok clips? I can't wait. There's one where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna send that to him first thing in the morning. It's going to be on for 1 second. I'm like, right. No, and he comes down a lot. So next time he comes down, I'll reach out because this was really fun.
Awesome. Yeah. Yes, it was.
You
Thank
can get
so
his
much.
side about cryptids. I'm very much the art one, but you know, he's along for the ride and he's the brainstorm. So, you know, it works out great.
Well, we appreciate you coming down and representing the podcast for him as well.
I know.
But yeah, if guys go check out the podcast, Aloreing podcast. Go check out all Kimmy and what Ryan are doing. They're very cool. Their episodes are fun. They're entertaining. Also, like, comment, subscribe. Do all the things you're supposed to do. And we will see you guys on the next episode.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Hey guys. Bye.